In your district, what's on people's minds out there
Oh,
these days?
solar farms and wind farms. Ever since the state government took away local control, we have a huge wind project coming into Hemlock, which is a rural community, farmland, small, people like it, and a huge wind or solar farm is scheduled to be put in my district, and the local government and the people really have no say in where it's going, and they're not happy.
Hi there, this is Krista. I am the Director of Michigan Women, and today I'm so excited to have with us today Tracey Slodowski. She's our Saginaw County Commissioner for District 5, which is the northwestern part of Saginaw County. And we're going to talk to her today about how she got started, what's going on in Saginaw County, what's the vision for 2025. And I'm just really looking forward to learning more about Tracey and what's in store for our county. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Tracey. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm happily married, and I'm the mother of four, some teens, some early 20s. So I'm also have six pets, if that matters. But
Oh, I have 5. Yeah.
yeah, I'm an animal person. That's putting it mildly. So, boy, my story is kind of unique. I actually started in politics in high school.
Oh.
I I have always been interested in politics since Ronald Reagan came on the scene. I actually asked my mother that if I could stay home from first grade so I could watch him get sworn in.
When you're in first grade?
I was in first grade,
Oh my
and I got to
goodness.
stay home because this is before you could record things, obviously. And I got to watch him be sworn in that day. And my parents are like, "You are a very weird first grader," but I have always loved politics. I it's something I've always been interested in,
Okay.
how things are run, serving other people, because that's the main reason that you should get into politics.
Right.
And as we know, that's not always the case, but your main goal in leading or serving or being an elected official is serving, and I love doing it. So in high school, I started working on campaigns here in Michigan, and I continued to do that. I was very active in many campaigns for many years, and I had my kids, and I took a little break to raise them, and they were in need of a township clerk here in Merrill, and I put in that I'd like to do that, and I ran for it, and I was elected, and I did that for about 8, 9 years
Hmm.
until there was a county commissioner opening, and I was called, and I was still in my pajamas, and someone from the county said, "Hey, your district's county commissioner is
Mm.
stepping down, and tomorrow they're interviewing for county commissioners. We think you would be the perfect person for it." So, in the process of one day, I went from being a township clerk to being a county commissioner.
Well, wait a minute. Don't we vote for our county commissioners?
Well, I was appointed, and then I was
Oh.
elected, and then I was reelected.
Okay, okay.
So, I've been elected twice and appointed once.
Okay. Can I
So,
ask, have you ever had any other jobs, like
oh,
regular
oh,
jobs?
absolutely.
Okay.
Uh, when my kids were very little, I worked for Myers.
Mhm.
So I did that for about 2, 3 years to make some extra money to help out, and frankly just get out of the house because I had four small children. So my husband, during the day he would watch the kids, and I'd work 3, 4 hours, and So I've done that. And I also, as a teenager, the typical, I worked at Domino's and gas stations and the mall.
Yeah.
In the 80s, I worked at the mall because I
What
lived
store
in
did you work in the mall?
it was Woman's World, which is no longer, it was a clothing store, which is no
Yeah.
longer, it hasn't been in business for years and years. But
Mine was J.C. Penney and Endicott Johnson. They were like shoe store.
oh, how fun. And
If I can remember that correctly, it was like many years ago.
well, I loved it because I got a 30% discount. And of course, you
Ah.
remember the 80s, we were all about the clothes and the big hair and the whole thing. But I love that job. That was so much fun.
Awesome.
So
So you've been doing this for 3 terms now.
yeah, I've been elected official for probably, and don't quote me on this, but I think close to 20 years.
Okay. How long is a Saginaw County Commissioner term?
Well, originally it was 2 years up until the last election, and they switched it over to 4 years. So now I'm on a 4-year term.
Okay.
Reason being is it was very difficult because you get elected as county commissioner and you automatically start campaigning for your next campaign. It was really hard for people to even get their feet wet because you were constantly campaigning. So I like the 4 years better, definitely.
Yeah. So this is your first time doing 4 years.
Yes.
Okay, so you have a little bit more time to get settled in.
Yeah.
Focus. What is it like to campaign for a Saginaw County Commissioner?
Well, campaigning is a lot of work. Really, you need to be campaigning all the time. And I don't mean that, actively campaigning, handing people, but you really need to be part of the community. And this is what I tell people, if you want to be in politics, you need to be involved. Sometimes you get people that you've never heard of them, you've never seen them, they've never showed up to a meeting, they've never been involved in community, and all of a sudden they want to be your representative. Well, like I said, I've been very involved in this community for a long time. So that kind of gave me an advantage with campaigning because everybody already knew who I was. Being a township clerk, obviously, if they wanted to vote, I was the person that they saw. So, you do the typical parades and, you go to speaking engagements, which is always fun. And
What kind of speaking engagements?
Meet and greets with the different parties that want to get to know you. You can even put on your own fundraiser and have people come and meet you. I did that the first time around. The last time I ran unopposed. So
Oh, okay.
it was pretty safe to say I had the job.
Unopposed. Okay. And you're a Democrat? Is that
Republican?
Republican? Oh, okay. See, I don't even know.
The only female Republican on the board.
Okay. Well, how many women are there?
2.
And the other one is, who's the other one?
Lisa Coney, she's a Democrat.
Okay.
So we hit
2 out of 11.
2 out of 11. And the funny thing is that the majority of Saginaw County is female.
Really?
I believe that 54% of the residents of Saginaw County are female. And there's only 2 on the board. And up until this last election cycle, there wasn't a female on the executive board. And this term, I am now the only female serving on the executive board. So I'm quite proud of that.
Yeah, absolutely. What does that mean to serve on the executive board?
It's basically when there's votes or very pressing issues before it goes to the rest of the board for consideration. It goes to the executive board to work through and to recommend to the other boards. So it's kind of the first stop for any issue.
Okay. Well, I definitely want to get into some issues for sure. But before we go down that path,
right,
I want to find out more about, a lot more, but your district. I don't think we got into too much about where your district was. I said at the beginning it was Northwestern. Let's talk about your district and like what's going on in your district. What's on people's minds out there?
Oh, solar farms and wind farms. Ever since the state government took away local control, We have a huge wind project coming into Hemlock, which is a rural community, farmland, small, people like it. And a huge wind or solar farm is scheduled to be put in my district, and the local government and the people really have no say in where it's going, and they're not happy. They are.
Why doesn't the local government or the local people have any?
Because the state government took away our power. It is now in their hands. They have control of all that, and the local body of government has no say in it anymore.
Was there a new law that was passed or something?
Correct.
Do you know, would you be able to share a little bit more about what that was?
Well, basically, that it's the state of Michigan that will determine like setbacks, where they can go. I'm trying to think what else that would detail. I mean, basically down to the how it goes in the ground. Before, especially when I was a township clerk, the local government set, where they can be and how tall they can be and how much land they can be. But now the state controls all that, and really we're at their mercy. And we want to be a small community. We're a small farming community, especially Hemlock, where all this big, huge solar farms are going. And, people feel that it's disturbing what our community is. We want to be small. We want farmlands. We enjoy our views the way they are. And now we've got big wind turbines everywhere, and now they're going to be putting solar panels. So I've been to a lot of very heated meetings, and I've advocated down at the state government saying, please give us back our local control. Even the counties are saying, hey, you took away our right to choose whether we want these to come into our communities. Unfortunately, that has not changed. Hopefully in the future they may allow local government to make those decisions, what's best for the community. But right now we have no power. They're going to put them wherever they want to put them and how big they want to put them. And
let me circle back, if you don't mind, for a second. Do you know what agency is it in Michigan, at the Michigan State Capitol, that's in charge of that now?
Correct. Yeah, there's a whole committee that handles all the wind and solar.
Okay, a committee out.
Yeah, it's one of the committees.
Okay.
Legislature.
And so they look at Hemlock, and so what if people own this property or whatnot?
They basically buy them out. I mean, they're not. I'm sorry.
Do the owners of the property, are they forced to sell?
They are not forced to sell. However, this is strictly my opinion. I think they're predators. They prey on people that may have failing farms, or that family members that they don't know what to do with their farms. They've inherited them because, as you know, up and coming generations don't want to farm. My husband his parents are farmers, and he has no intention of farming. They make them offers that are too good to be true, more than they could make farming, unfortunately.
Okay. Well, so then the people are actually choosing to give up their property, but they probably feel like maybe they don't, like I said, too good to be true. How can I pass this up? I don't really know what my other options are.
Right.
I'm curious, the people in your area, what are they saying about solar or the wind in their towns?
We don't want it. We still want farming. We still want, we don't want these massive wind turbines all over the place. When I look out my window, I have a big bay window, and I look out to all this farmland and all these forests, and that's no longer there. All it is right now, I'd say I'm looking at about 5 wind turbines as opposed to 3. 5 blinking lights right into my house.
Yeah, I hear you. Yeah, those blinking lights are something else. I'm not going to deny that. I drive down out there quite a bit, you head out anywhere out to the west, drive
Yeah.
down 46 at the night, you're going to see a skyline full of
You're going to
blinking.
see even more. It's coming.
Okay.
There's a few people that I'd say the majority of people don't want them. But like I said, I feel like these companies are some of our older farmers who children no longer want to farm, and they seek these people out and they make them offers that are too good to be true. They buy their acres for, 5 times what they could make farming.
Mm-hmm. Do the family stay around?
It probably would be on an individual basis. It's hard to say because I don't know them all personally, but
Right.
yeah. I know one of the big solar projects that's coming into the town, the woman inherited her dad. Her dad passed away and she inherited all his farmland and she's selling it to the solar.
Okay.
So,
Got it. So what's going on in the farming community? Tell us a little bit more about that. Anything exciting or, what tell us about more about your agriculture.
well, we primarily grow corn and soybeans in my area. Um, there's farmland everywhere in my district for the most part, except for Thomas Township, but there's a little bit. Like I said, my husband comes from a farming family. Farming
Mm-hmm.
is very big. In my community, if somebody puts up a pole barn, we have a party.
Okay. A pole barn party, yeah.
Yeah, a pole barn because somebody put up a pole barn, and it's a big. People hunt and fish and farm out here. We like the fact that they say that everybody knows everything about everybody, but let me tell you, this town, if something happens, we really pull together, and that's the part that I love about my community is it feels like we're all one big family.
That's so awesome.
So, yeah.
What are you thinking about for this year as you're going into 2025 for your county? I mean, so of course you're gonna, I imagine, still keep addressing the solar and the
Right.
wind.
Yeah. I think that's, pretty much it's a done deal and it's a losing battle. So we'll see how that goes. It's kind of a wait and see at this point.
Okay.
So
So what else is going on in terms of
Saginaw County.
the county, like
Yeah.
in
Okay.
terms
We've
of
got
your
big projects coming up. The biggest project coming up. Well, let me go back. So I'm not sure if you knew, but Saginaw County won the Memorial Cup, which
yeah.
is which is huge project that we put on. And that took a lot of planning and a lot of money and a lot of coordination and the whole community coming together. And then we end up winning it. So
I know.
that was pretty exciting for
Yeah.
Saginaw. Saginaw tends to have a really bad reputation, but it was nice to get a win.
Yeah,
But we're going to be
absolutely.
doing a lot more winning. What's coming in, I don't know if you've heard of the medical diamond.
Yes, I have, and I've been thinking a lot about it. Just my husband and I are like thinking about downsizing and such, and I have this crazy dream of living in the cathedral district in one of those old
The
houses
Victorian houses.
and everything. And so, being the entrepreneurial spirit I am, the
Yes.
first thing that comes in my mind is, oh, the medical diamond, and then all this investment. So, if we get something downtown now, maybe we
It's
could.
going to be worth more money. Yeah.
Right, but then everybody's saying, well, if you go downtown, you're never going to get the money you put into whatever place, you're not going to get your return on investment. So there's a lot to think about, but I would love to hear more from your perspective on what the medical diamond
Well, this
is
is
looking like for Saginaw County.
exciting. First phase, and it's going to be a while. First phase is going to be, of course, they're going to build the CMU Medical School, which is going to be dorms, restaurants, the school, parks, boat launches that go for, this is really going to be first class, no expenses spared, and bringing in all these students and teachers into our community, which is going to revive. Obviously, people have to live somewhere, they have to eat somewhere, they have to shop places.
Yeah.
It's going to be first phase. Our health department's going to be moving into the medical diamond. Then, of course, in following phases, we're going to have a hospital where
Another hospital?
yes, what I've heard, but don't quote me if it's true, is that we'll be the next U of M. Our community will be the next U of M. We're going to be
Okay.
a place to go to have surgeries. Like right now, my oldest son has autism. Well, unfortunately, because of the how difficult it is to, operate or even, even put an IV in, we have always had to go to U of M for those kind of services because they have the equipment to be able to successfully deal with someone who's autistic and have a successful outcome, and the staffing and things like that. And you know how nice it would be to be able to do that in my own community and not have to drive down to U of M. I see, like I said, this is just so exciting for Saginaw.
Is it $30 million?
Ugh. Well, I've heard 30 million, then I have a feeling it's gonna be a lot more.
Well, I was gonna say 30 million is not gonna be enough to do all
Yeah.
that. There's no way.
But I don't know if you've heard this, but the 2 architects that are designing this whole thing are women.
Woohoo! I have to learn more about that. I got to put that in
I
our
don't have the names, but I can get them for you.
Okay.
But the architects, the 2 architects that are designing this whole entire project are women.
Okay. We need to talk to them for sure. Do you talk to them? Are you guys
I've never actually met them, but I've seen them at like talks and things, but I've never personally went up and talked to them. But I can get those names for you because I think that's really something.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if
what they plan on doing, because like I said, this is just, it's going to be beautiful parks and, where they can canoe and things. I mean,
on the Saginaw River right there.
This is incredible.
And the money came from
private investors, the state, the county put in a little bit, but I would say the majority of it is private investors.
I thought they got a big
from there was a grant from the state of Michigan. There was too.
Wait. Oops, sorry. We had a little glitch there for a second. Yeah, the infrastructure bill, the Biden infrastructure bill, didn't that
correct. Some of that, yep. It's basically it's a collaboration of a lot of money from different sources. So
okay, that's good to know. Yeah, I'll have to look into that more. Where is it going to be? Like, is there like a location?
The reason we call it the medical diamond is because if you look from an aerial view where like Covenant Hospital is and the New Mid-Michigan and where they're putting this, it actually looks like a diamond. So if the way they have it shaped from the air where they're putting it to all the different hospitals, it's diamond shaped. So they're going to keep all the medical facilities in that diamond.
Okay. Is it like by the highway entrance there, that little area,
675? It is down by where Dow Event Center is. It's that area.
Okay.
It's going to run both sides of the river.
Do you know if it'll be on the north side of State Street there? Because State Street is where Dow Event Center is on.
Yeah, it's going to be.
Because you got the Saginaw Club there and the Temple Theater, so it'll be on the opposite side.
Yeah, it'll be part of. Yeah, it'll be on both sides of that river, down where all those buildings are, and then
by the new high school.
Yes, all in that area.
Wow, I am like really excited about that.
Yeah,
and it's for sure happening.
Yeah, it's for sure
happening. Stopping it.
God willing. But I think there's too much money at stake that this is, like I said, phase 1 is going to be the medical school and the dorms, and I believe the park and the boat launches are going to be phase 1. So
that's so exciting. And so what is the county going to do over to facilitate this? What's your role?
Well, our role right now, it initially was to make an initial investment, which was about $3 to $4 million. That's what we have put into it so far.
So that's our car tax money dollars.
Yeah. Yes. But most of it came from the ARPA funds that we were given from the federal government. I don't know if you're familiar with ARPA funds. We were given $37 million from the federal government during COVID. So,
okay.
So each municipality, each county, we were all given, they call it ARPA funds right after COVID to revitalize the economy, all that kind of stuff. So the money, the $4 million that we gave came out of those funds.
Okay.
So it wasn't directly out of our budget, if that makes it more clear.
Oh yeah, no, that helps. Yeah, absolutely. So at this point, are there like planning commissions or?
We haven't even got that far yet. So.
But there will be, I'm sure.
I'm sure there's going to be a whole lot of planning down the road. This is going to be, like I said, I see a lot of things coming, like you said, planning commissions and where do we fit in and all this. I'm sure that, the city of Saginaw and Saginaw County, we're going to have a big part in this.
Yeah. So I imagine the architects their maps draft up ideas and then they'll present it to somebody around here.
Probably the people that are paying for it, the majority of it. So
okay, and then they'll have to take it to the community.
Correct.
Yeah.
So
I can't wait to learn more about that. And you'll have all this on your website at your meetings. You'll be
Yep. It's like I said, it's a work in progress. This kind of started 2 years ago, and we're just we're keeping it's going to be a long time to actually complete this, but they're doing, like I said, they're doing it in phases, so that's pretty exciting.
Right. What else is on the agenda for 2025?
Oh, I'm really excited to be personally involved in this. I chair the Saginaw County Animal Control Advisory Board.
Okay.
And our Surgery Center will be opening this year, hopefully in April. And the advisory board, working with the director, has managed to get the donations needed, get all the equipment to get the Surgery Center operational, where it's all up to code. We have all the supplies. Fire inspection is just it's almost ready to go. And being able to, like, Saginaw County unfortunately has a huge population of stray animals, and it's not getting better. We have to turn away every single day. They have to turn away so many people's animals because we just can't house every animal that needs to be housed. And it's very, very sad, especially after COVID. They were just inundated with animals, and
people couldn't afford to take care of them anymore or something.
Just recently, 2 days ago, I was over there talking to the director, and a car pulled up and opened the door, and this beautiful black lab, they shoved it out the door and took off, and of course all the staff members went, because it's right there, the road. And of course, all the staff members went running out to catch the dog. They're running all over the parking lot because we don't want the dog to get hit. But this stuff happens every single day. They have 140 pit bulls that they've either rescued or they were dumped upon them. This year, they came in and they had a trash can right by the door, and they came in and it was full of puppies. So Saginaw County, and it's not just Saginaw County, every county probably in Michigan is just, we are up to our ears in unwanted pets. So, opening the surgery centers where people can go and get their pets spayed and neutered, and people that cannot afford it will be able to do so we can, reduce the pet population here in Saginaw. Anything we can do that these poor animals,
is there like, what's your take on the reasons why there's so many unwanted pets
in the United States? I mean, this is a United States problem. Unfortunately, pets.
What do we do as a community to help solve that?
Police can only do so much, and unfortunately, here in Saginaw, we have a lot of dog fighting, and we don't have enough resources or police officers to effectively police that kind of thing.
That's a real thing that happens here in Saginaw?
Absolutely. You may want to talk to our director, Rachel, because if people knew what was, as far as dog fighting, the problem that we have here in Saginaw, some of the animals they get in are just so tore up. And
where do they do this at?
Well, just all over Saginaw. Like I said, Rachel Horton is our director, would be definitely better to, give you the specifics about everything that's been going on. But you as the taxpayer, we get these animals in that have had their ears ripped off and their tails ripped off and they're just ripped off. And you as the taxpayer have to, pay to fix up those animals, because even though we're a no-kill shelter, they will euthanize if the animal cannot be saved. But, I don't think the taxpayers realize that they're paying for, that kind of service on these dogs that have been just horrifically, maimed from dog fighting. And this is going on. It's a huge problem in Saginaw.
Well, then somebody's making money.
Yeah, absolutely. But like I said, Rachel, she could do a much better job than I can with all the specifics. It's tragic. There is no good way to put it. It's just a tragic situation, and how you stop it, we can only do so much. And I think that's how, every county feels. Midland has the same problem. Bay City has the same problem. Every county has the same problem. If you look online and the unwanted pets, every shelter is full of pit bulls. And I don't have the answer. How do you get people to be responsible? Pets are lifelong residents of your family. They're expensive. As somebody, like you said, I have quite a few too, with one going to the vets tomorrow. And I don't know, they're cute and small when they're puppies, but they grow up and they're expensive. And I think it's just irresponsibility is the main reason that we have these problems here in Saginaw County. But hopefully, open up the surgery center, if we can even make a dent. This is what's so exciting for me, a dent in our community's population of animals, that we're not having people, opening car doors and dumping them out into our parking lot. That's an incredible thing. And I'm very, as you can tell, I'm so passionate about this whole project.
I'm so glad that you're working on that. I live down the road from the old Saginaw Animal Control Center, and it just break my heart to drive past there because it was so small.
Yeah.
And, you go in there and those dogs have no space.
Yeah.
So I'm thankful as a taxpayer that my tax money can go to that. But I would love to find strategies or some education that we can do to help.
Any help or anything that anyone would like to constructively help. Unfortunately, we have a lot of people that are keyboard warriors that, they have a lot of opinions, but yet, a lot of these things that they think we should be doing are expensive, and as a taxpayer, we don't have the funds for it. And it just comes down to money. Yes, we could be doing this. Yes, we could expand the shelter. Yes, we could put in all these different programs and hire more people, but we don't have the funds.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, that's what, when I interviewed Rich, he was talking about the budget. That's his main mojo.
Yep.
He was saying that one of his initiatives is try to get more businesses to come in here. But so when we look at the budget, what's your take on it? What's your feelings? How do you want to address
Well, as far as our budget goes, we are actually, for the first time this year, or for this year, last year's budget, we are right on budget. We're pretty excited. It looks really good. We're, staying within our budget. Things are getting done. We're not running in the red. So yeah, it's doing really well. I said, Saginaw, like I said, is looking up. Our budget and our finances are starting to look the way they should look, especially after COVID. We're finally getting in our community, we're hiring prosecutors because we couldn't for the longest time after COVID. It really took a hit for our employee base. People weren't coming back to work after COVID.
Oh.
And we couldn't find lawyers. There's been a shortage of lawyers. So of course, all the all the court cases are going to get backed up because we don't have enough people to litigate them. We just got 2 new prosecutors, and we're finally through our backlog of cases. So like I said, I'm just so excited. Good things are happening for Saginaw, and things that we haven't seen in a very long time.
like a balanced budget?
A balanced budget and being able to hire the necessary staff, qualified people. Like I said, our surgery center, a medical center. We just won the Stanley Cup, or not
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Stanley Cup, but the Memorial Cup. I mean,
Right.
that's
Oh, not the Stanley Cup.
yeah, I wish, but um, I'm just so proud of the work that we've done. As you can tell, I'm very passionate about everything. The work that this group of commissioners, since I've been on board, has done. They've really, rolled up their sleeves and thought outside the box of let's not do the same old, same old. And that's what I love because, the same old wasn't working.
Right.
So we're going
Yeah.
to,
So how do you think, just for some examples, how did they get like the budget going on the way that it should be, in terms of at least being balanced?
well,
Um,
commissioners that were willing to say no to things that weren't necessary. And that's what it boiled down to. A lot of times people would come and ask for things that we just couldn't afford, and not to bash any other former boards, because I wasn't there, but there were times we had to say no. And they were hard decisions. We, when someone came to us and said, we need the latest and greatest computers, sorry, no. I mean, yours are 3 years old. Let's make them till 6. We had to say no.
okay.
Cutting where we could cut and say no when it wasn't absolutely necessary. That's how we got it done. And we finally, like I said, got commissioners that were willing to say no.
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. Can you dive a little bit into when it comes to the budget, how decisions are made and what they're making decisions about? I know, the police, the jail, the health department, the main things, like how, just in a little bit how the budget works.
Sure. Well, a lot of when it comes to the health department, a lot of the ways that we have to allot our money are mandated by the state of Michigan. Like if you want to have a health department, you must have A, B, C, D, and you must fund it. So, so as far as the budget goes, we don't, we have to fund these certain things like vaccination clinics. If you want to have a health department, you must have you must do this and you must do that, and we must pay for them. Same with like juvenile detention and the like our jails. All that is mandated that we must pay for if we want to have that service for Saginaw County. So a lot of our budget is out of our hands. This is what it's going to cost, and this is what we have to pay for it,
Okay.
And
Yeah.
hopefully anything extra that we have out of the budget that isn't mandated, we have to use those resources very wisely. And a lot of people don't realize that a lot of this comes down from the state of Michigan or even the federal government, that, we have to, you have to pay for this and you have to pay for that. So.
Right. So there's not a lot of room, but what you do have room to control, you've been doing a good job.
Yeah, I am. Like I said, we're right on track to where we should be, which is really great. When's the last time you've heard that about Saginaw? So
About any government
yeah.
office. So what do you think about, is there anything that's happening, a lot of conversations this been going on a couple of weeks since Trump's taken office.
Right.
Is there anything that is impacting our own county that you can see so far?
People don't, people believe what they see on TV and what they read on the internet. And there's only 4 or 5 Republicans and 6 Democrats. You know what? We're a family. We're a team. And when it comes to we don't play politics in our county government. It just doesn't matter. Like I said, we're just one big team. Very rarely does the Republican Democrat thing even come into play, because we don't vote on those type of issues.
That's true.
And because of the leadership that we've had since I've been on board, we had Judge Chris Boyd, who was a retired judge for 40 years, and now we have Jack Taney. We've had excellent leadership, and they fostered we are all one big team. Either we're going to sink or swim, we're going to do it together. And this Republican Democrat stuff just, all it's going to do is divide us. So I can happily say, for as far as the county commissioners go, we are just one team, and it really does not matter if Republicans or Democrats. And I honestly don't even think that we should have to at the county level one is a Republican or Democrat, because it doesn't matter. When it comes to whether I'm going to vote on lawn care for the courthouse, does it really matter if I'm a Republican or a Democrat? I mean, I didn't know that Republicans had a platform on, lawn care. So.
No, I'm with you. It's about the people. It's about the community and what we need as a community. It's not about your party.
Yeah, because we represent such different communities. We represent our communities as commissioners and what our communities want and their best interest. And, like I said, as far as the Trump stuff and all that, what goes on in the federal government, that has really no effect on us at the county level. Some of the policies may affect us, but as far as the way we vote or, our fighting with each other, that is just not even.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, but I really was more interested in is there any policy issues that are coming down, like all these mandates and everything? I didn't know if anything that has been done impacted what you.
Nothing yet.
Nothing yet. Okay.
I was going to say nothing yet. God forbid that something's not going to affect us. So far, no.
Okay.
As far as our sheriff and ICE and all that stuff, is that I have not heard a thing about
immigration, maybe pulling services for maybe the health department if they provide abortion. I don't know if they do counseling.
No.
Okay.
None of that. No.
Okay.
They do. They provide birth control, mostly drug testing, vaccinations. That's pretty much, their forte. But as far as since Trump's been in office, we haven't really had any impact as of yet.
Okay.
You ask me that in a year and I might tell you something different.
Well, I'm really curious. All the stuff that's happening, but what does it mean for our communities? That's really what I'm trying to get to. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure other communities, there's things that are impacting them more, but our community is very diverse, don't you think?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I have the most conservative district. The second would be Commissioner Denny Harris, which would be St. Charles, Chesaning. But my community is very, very red. I mean, when I was a township clerk, the first time Trump ran, it wasn't even close. I mean, it was probably 15-1. I mean, Republicans overwhelmingly win in this community. I don't think there's a single Democrat in my community that's even.
I'm sure there's somebody somewhere, but you might be right.
Maybe, but I have a very, very conservative demographic that I represent.
Yes, and then our county, and then you have other parts of the county that are completely the opposite.
Yes, we don't even have a police department here in Merrill. There's no need for it. We don't have any crime. And we have one, I think Hemlock has one police officer that they share with someone else. The crime rate here is less than 1%. I mean, we don't have it. If I'd be, I don't know if you've ever heard the song, Try That in a Small Town. That's what would happen if someone was to break into my most conservative district township, Marion Township. I don't even think they'd be able to find the body, because I think every single member is armed. I mean, I'm being realistic. It's probably true.
Okay.
But we don't have crime. It's a small town and everybody knows everybody. And, my neighbor watches my house like a hawk. And God forbid, if we were gone and somebody were trying to break into our house, he would be out there, yeah.
Well, Tracey, it's been so great to talk with you. Let's wrap this up. Is there anything else that you'd like to share or with our audience, with our community, about your role at the county, or what's on the agenda, or anything at all?
Well, oh boy, trying to think what's on the agenda. that's been coming up that's big other than,
Yeah.
basically, this, I don't know if you've ever heard the saying, good government is boring. And right now it's boring. And
Okay.
that's the way it should be. There's nothing really overly excited. Oh, we do have the new mosquito control building that's going out on Tower Line. That's coming up. But really, our day-to-day business is just taking care of, approving grants that different organizations have got. Really, really dull, boring things that we're voting on. I wish I had something more exciting to tell you, but like I said, right now we're doing very well.
No, that's everything you said is exciting to me, but I'm interested in this. So
Yeah,
I really appreciate you taking the time to sit with me
yeah,
and introduce yourself. And because, we, if you don't live out in your area, we might not know who you are. So,
yeah, that's true.
well,
And
you're working for our whole county. So
yeah,
we
yeah,
appreciate getting to know you.
yeah. Saginaw County is, like I said, I was born and raised here. My family came over from Germany, had a business here for many, many years. I don't know if you remember Gertner's Greenhouse on
Uh,
Brockway. It's now closed.
oh, yeah.
That was my great grandparents. So
Okay.
that was my family legacy, where we've been a big part of Saginaw for, a lot of years. And as a kid, I got to go to the zoo. That was my favorite thing to do, is go to the Saginaw Zoo. And now I'm on the board and I help run it.
Oh, I
I mean,
know.
how
That's so
cool is that?
awesome.
How cool is that?
Well, I love it. I think when we met each other, we graduated the same year,
Yes.
1990. So
Yep.
we're Saginaw girls through and through,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
having Saginaw and building it up and watching it, you heard I'm sure you've heard the term Sag nasty, and you hear about all the shootings and all the crime. But let me tell you that the majority of Saginaw is we're really making an impact. People are awesome here. It's a great place to live. I love it. I wouldn't want to
I
be
know,
anywhere
me
else.
too.
I absolutely love it here. And I'm just, like I said, as a kid going to the zoo every single Saturday, and now I get to go and be on the board
Hmm.
and make decisions and watch other kids come in and be excited. And the zoo is got some new exhibits coming up, and they're going to be doing a snake house, which I will not be going in.
Oh,
Bird exhibits. We're going to be getting some really cool animals we haven't had before. They were able to get some grants, so it's just like I said. I am just the future is just for Saginaw is going to be really something. We are going to put our mark on the map, and it won't
well,
be.
I'm here to help. I'm here to support. And that's
Yeah,
exactly why I'm doing this podcast and this whole Michigan Women thing, because I love Saginaw too. And I don't want to hear Sag nasty
yeah.
anymore. I want to hear
Oh,
Sag awesome. And I want my kids to stay here. I want my
yeah,
grandkids to stay here.
yeah.
But
It
since I
is.
got you, I want to ask you something about the zoo. Okay,
Yes.
this is a
Sure.
constituent question.
Okay.
So my granddaughter's 5,
Okay.
and we have a membership to the zoo.
Yep.
Not last summer, but all the summers before, it was like every weekend at the zoo.
Yeah.
Um, and when I took her to the zoo this past summer, it was lunchtime,
Mhm.
and I'm like, okay, there is nothing at the zoo that is any remotely appropriate to give to kids. It's all candy,
Uh-huh.
junk, hot dogs,
Pretzels, hot
nachos, things
dogs,
like that, because
popcorn.
you're going to the zoo to have like a great time, and it's like for kids. But I'm kind of a health nut, and so one of my missions for Saginaw and my motto is to make the healthy choice the easy choice.
Mhm.
So this is an initiative that I hope to develop more, but um, I would love to be able to take my granddaughter to the zoo and be able to give her a lunch
We're
that
gonna
I
be
felt
having
like wasn't just sugar poison.
we're going to be having a meeting soon. I'm gonna write this down because I will forget. More healthy choices. Nancy Parker is the zoo director. So more healthy choices.
Yeah, I mean, because we're saying, hey, kids, come to the zoo. We want them to go. We want them to play. We want the parents to come and everybody to get to know each other. But I'm looking around and everybody's just eating all the sugary stuff, and then
Mhm.
kids are crying, people acting up.
Mhm.
It's because they don't have the right
You
stuff.
know, I never thought about that because Saginaw has the motto of, oh God, what is it? My husband's sitting here. Healthy Saginaw. And
Yeah.
at our zoo, you just brought up a good point that it serves all junk food. And
Yeah.
yeah,
And
I
for our
never
little
thought about
kids.
that, but yeah, so more healthy
Yep.
choices. But we're going to have a meeting, and it's something I'm going to bring up. So what? So she's probably going to ask me, and
Like what?
what are you thinking of would be appropriate to serve kids? So we can get
Well,
this.
I have no idea. I mean, of
That's what
course,
I'm thinking. I'm like,
like
what could they
through,
serve?
yeah, I don't know.
True,
That
it's
would
like
be a
true.
brainstorming. Net, I would think that would be some kind of workshop. What are the things that we can offer that are affordable and that are at least along the healthier lines, an
Yeah,
option? Could we have some apples or bananas and oranges, or would that cost too much?
yeah, that's a good
Could we
point. I
have
was
some
just thinking,
sandwiches?
ooh, now you're talking.
Could we have even just little like things kids like, maybe some even chicken nuggets,
Ooh, hey.
something then other than like a slice of pizza or cotton candy.
Well,
This is my vision for Saginaw. This is
mm-hmm,
my total vision. Y- the can We can have candy.
mm-hmm,
We're humans. We want
yeah,
to celebrate. Want to have
right.
ice cream. Want to have candy. I'm not against that. But let's
Mm-hmm,
have a little candy section and like a bigger, like regular food section with
okay,
some options to it. That
right. Because
um,
I know if you go to an amusement park, I mean, they never used to have healthy options. But we were at Michigan Adventure, and they actually had like fruit carts and things like
oh
that. So
yeah, this is what we need to do for Saginaw. We need to get Saginaw healthy, and I'm talking all over. Like my vision for the grocery store is you go in and all that candy and stuff is removed. Have your little junky stuff that people can buy that you want to make your little profit on, right? But
mhm.
put the candy in a section over here. Go get your candy, but this we don't need to have it like in your face every checkout counter. Here's all the candy bars, and we can have a candy, but let's
Well,
have
especially with being taxpayer funded. So this is really, this isn't a private business where, if you were a private owner, you can pretty much do whatever you want because it's your business. But as like the zoo, this is, a public
yeah,
owned
it is
place.
public.
Yeah.
Well, if you have room for a person you want another voice on the committee about whatever you decide to do for the food thing,
hmm
make sure
That's
you message
actually
me.
something that I'll definitely, I'm actually going to message Nancy if it's something that they've even thought about, or maybe they've already, mulled this over. I don't know because it's never been mentioned.
It's probably I would say we're so used to here's the things that we give kids when you go to the wherever. Our culture has been trained,
Well, yeah, we're Americans.
right? And
Yeah.
so to even think differently, we have to stop and say, wait a minute, maybe we can do something else. And I really think we can.
Mm-hmm.
And I think our kids would appreciate it.
No, please. I love these ideas because people ask me constantly. See, it's nice to have somebody that has an idea that's not calling me screaming and yelling. Especially,
Oh,
a lot of times I get that from the animal shelter. People are very upset, like I mentioned before. And I said, please come to our meetings. Please have some ideas because, we're out of ideas. If you could think of something better to help the community and help the, our pet population, we are all ears. So,
no pun
this is great.
intended.
Yeah, this is constructive. This is what we need to hear. Give us some ideas and like I said, any ideas that you have that we can present that we can discuss would be wonderful because it's as a leader, it's not just me that makes the community great. I need the people to give me feedback on
Right.
what I need to be doing. So
Well, that is great. We're gonna do that, Tracy. We're gonna stay in communication with you and all the county commissioners.
yes,
And
you want to definitely get Chris Boyd. Because he's an
yes,
interesting man. He, like I said, he was a judge. He was the judge, the number one judge for a lot of years. And
okay,
for me personally, I've learned he's been my mentor. And this is just my opinion. He's the reason that a lot of these things are happening in Saginaw. He is the number one reason. that all this stuff is happening, because he does not follow the, as a judge, having him in that kind of thing where you have to be, different situations and things like that, I think beneficial to the county because he thinks outside the box. He'll say, well, we did it like this, but this isn't working. And he always says to me, if it's not working, then do something else.
Yeah.
He's very big on that. He'll say, Tracey, is that working? No. Then do something else.
Yes.
So,
And we got to get our community to come in because we all have good ideas. But if nobody says anything and they just complain to their family all day.
yeah. Or, we're all crooks and we're all, I don't know if you're aware of this, but county commissioners make $10,000 a year. The majority of what we do as a commissioner is for free. I don't get paid to go to meetings. I go to all my township meetings when I can. Almost all the commissioners do. We go to events constantly and speak, or, at the animal shelter, I'm going to be helping with our grand opening. We do all that for free. We don't get paid for any of that. And, when people say you guys are all crooks, and it's like the majority of what I do is for free.
You're like, if I'm a crook, then I'm a really bad one.
Yes, I'm going to risk my freedom for that $10,000 a year that they pay me. So.
Yeah, I mean, I thought that too when I saw that. I'm like, whoa, that's not even very much. It must not be. What I thought to myself was, it must not do much.
No, that's not even enough to even cover my gas, because I live out here in Merrill, and I have to drive to Frankenmuth, I have to drive here, I have to drive there, and I'm lucky if I get $50 a day for attending meetings all day. But I can tell you, everybody that's there is very dedicated, because we're not doing it for the money, believe me.
Right. You're doing it for the love of Saginaw.
We are. You can tell. I'm just like Howza says, you're just so passionate. I'm just so passionate about, Saginaw and what's coming up and what I remember as a kid, growing up with the greenhouse. Saginaw was really something. I remember we would ride our bikes to the temple, or not the temple, but the Court Street Theater. I mean, we didn't even think anything of it as a kid. And I grew up in Saginaw Township, and that was like miles. We'd all get on our bikes. Right. I remember seeing Dirty Dancing and E.T. there. We just got on our bikes and we rode there. And
wow, that is quite the hike.
Yeah, it was. We used to walk there, and we never even thought about it. And Saginaw was just so wonderful. And now people, now it has this bad reputation, and it shouldn't, because look at all the wonderful people we have here.
We do have a lot of very wonderful people, and I'm really excited for all of the things going on in Saginaw that are going to be. I'm with you. We're going to make Saginaw awesome.
Yeah.
And thank you so much, Tracey.
Oh, not a problem. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.